Okay. No. Previews. Somehow it's not working here. Why is it not working? Connection. What am I doing here? Don't know why it's not working. Well, apparently this is working. Why it's not working? Apparently it's working. Hold on a second. Well, apparently this is working. Why it's not working? Apparently it's working. Hold on a second. Well, apparently accuse the technical difficulties. Accuse or excuse or whatever. It's working. Okay, hold on a second. I don't hear anything yet. What do we have going on here? But see, the thing is, apparently, not going to choose the technical difficulties. Accuse or excuse or whatever. It's working. Okay, hold on a second. I don't know how. I don't hear anything yet. What do we have going on here? I got lots of noise here. Not going to choose the technical difficulties. We'll skip this. We'll stop this noise here. Okay. How's that? How's that? Well, error occurred. I don't know what kind of error we're talking about. Seems to be going through. So, I don't know why. See if it's working now. Oh, okay. I think it's working now. Anywho, sorry for the problems. I believe it's live. And I just had found a way of understanding the difficulties that we're having in the great debate of communicating. We're talking past each other, it seems, and because atheism has a position of no position at all. Imagine that. We creationists, we have a position. We have a positive statement to make. As Christians, we're upfront about everything we believe. We have a positive position, while atheism has no position. The only position that atheism has, quote unquote, as Jay Passick would say, is that there are no gods. And that's not a position. It's just saying, all it's saying is that there's no gods. So you don't believe in any gods or any powers or anything like that. But anyway, that's just too bad. That is just too bad, because we have a positive position of a maker of everything who's all-knowing, all-powerful, eternal, and is not made, of course, because that's what the evidence shows. You look at physics, science, it all points to infinity. It all points to all power, all knowing, all wisdom, all understanding, all knowledge, because that's what you need to make creation. You need all that. You can't just make creation by accident. And where did the power come from? You still have to have power, and the power still has to be ordered. Power still has to be ordered. So, if the power is not being ordered, then, and there's no power, then there is no thing. Because everything is power. Everything is based on power. Power is coming to us from the universe. Power is coming to us from the solar system, the galaxy, the universe. And it exists. So there are powers, there are forces, and it's all evidence of evidence of God, evidence of where all the powers and forces came from. And it can't be lesser and lesser forces, it has to be greater and greater forces to make everything there is. The wisdom has to be greater and greater. So if there was aliens that made us, they would have to be smarter and smarter. Aliens on top of aliens, smarter and smarter, all the way down. So no matter what, it goes to infinity. And information is always top down, it's never bottom up. And because there's no such thing as magic, you have to have magic. Hey Wildheart, what's up? Yeah, atheism has no positive position. What was the title anyway? Hold on a second. Atheism is just dumb knowing nothing. Okay. Yeah. It's dumb knowing nothing. Anyway. Because the position of atheism is that there are no gods. And now if you say that, try to say that that's a position, it's really not a position. It's no position. It's not a positive assertion. It's a negative assertion. There's no gods. Except the dumb, possibly. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. I gotta try to get Jay Passive over here. He's rambling on somewhere. Let me see what we got here. Okay. Jay, I am live. Let's see if I can send that to him. Jay says, I found something interesting. You know how you've been telling me lies don't exist? Well, I found an old conversation between you and Scholar Fiction, and you say to him, but you don't think lies exist. I find that it's funny since you keep telling me lies don't exist. But you think lies exist. Yeah, well, I've been saying it for a long time. But you don't think lies exist. Well, it depends. It exists as a fabrication. Lies don't actually exist. It's just a fabrication. Let me see if I can get this other guy over here. Is there somebody else is railing at me? Input. Okay. Put some input. He says, you said I didn't provide a positive argument. I just showed you the positive argument. Yeah, positive argument, positive claim, but with no basis. I'm saying I want to see your basis. Everybody has a claim, everybody has it, and that's why you're not atheist, is because you have a claim. You have a positive claim, but you have to have a basis for a positive claim. And if you have no basis, you have no claim. So that's how that works. Anyway, what we got? Wild heart, except, okay. It's not as negative assertion either. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Carry on. That's alright. Yeah, atheism is a negative assertion. It's a claim that there are no gods. It's not a positive assertion. It says there's no gods. All it says is that there aren't any something. It doesn't say that there is something. It's atheists, people claiming to be atheists, they have claims. They have assertions with no basis. That's the point that I'm trying to get across. And of course, this is all logical. If you follow the logic, you can understand that. Should be able to understand it. Anyway. Let's see if anybody else gets here. See if Jay shows up. Or anybody else. Because we just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's easier just to do a live stream and address it. Because, of course, atheism doesn't know anything. It just asserts that there's nothing. Anyway, the only problem is that the argument is so easily stated is that there's nothing more to talk about, really. I mean, I'm not a talkative person, so that's what happens sometimes. Let me get this. I'm trying to get this. Okay. The atheist claim is either I don't know or there are no gods. Well, yeah, but you're claiming evolution. It depends on your definition of atheism, which is an argument I'm not going to touch with a 10-foot pole. Definition of atheism. No, atheism just simply states that there are no gods. People say that over and over again. That's the only position of atheism, is that there are no gods, which is absurd because what God, by what force are you speaking? What I mean, by what authority, what information are you putting out there? You have something that you're asserting. You are something, and you're asserting there is nothing. That's basically what atheism is, which is totally absurd, totally irrational, and that's why most atheists who are intelligent enough will admit that they're not actually atheists. They say they're agnostics, meaning they don't know whether God exists. Let me read more. It depends on your definition. Okay. Atheism has nothing to do with evolution. Right. But because atheism doesn't have anything to do with anything. But evolution is the claim of atheists, which needs to have a basis. And, it's kind of pointless to be an atheist and not believe in evolution. Then what do you believe in if you don't believe in evolution? You believe in naturalism, which is nature. You believe in nature. That's why you're not an atheist, is because you don't fit the definition of an atheist, because you're a naturalist believing in nature, the power of nature, the ability of nature. That's your belief. And you're trying to hide your belief because you have no basis and say that you're an atheist, which only says there's no gods. Wow, could he make himself sound like he's mumbling more? No, I'm just trying to make a positive statement, Jay. And I'm glad you can be here. Because it's easier to talk than it is to type. So anyways, atheist has nothing to do with evolution. You can be an atheist and not believe in evolution. Well, yeah, not really, but most atheists do believe in evolution, and they are naturalists, which is not atheism. It's a belief in nature, the power of nature. So I'd like to see an argument or a positive statement made with a basis. So you believe in evolution, you believe in nature. So how does where did nature get its power, and where did it get its knowledge, and where did it get its ability? Atheism is about belief. Agnosticism is about knowledge. Two different things. Okay, so intelligent atheists say they're not atheists, they say they're agnostic. So that is about knowledge, or not knowing. Jay, I don't really know how to do that, and I'm doing good by getting this far, but and I don't know I don't know if the problem is that I don't know if people can still snipe, and otherwise, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But I don't want to get sniped and somebody take over and whatever, you know. Atheism is I don't believe a God exists. That's it, right? No naturalism, no evolution, nothing else. Exactly. So then you don't believe in evolution, but you do believe in evolution. No, I'm not. I'm not on Hangouts. Actually, I'm on YouTube live stream. So I guess it can't be sniped, right? Or I don't know. So see, that's the thing about atheism. You gotta decide one thing or another. Either you don't know anything, or you can't say anything, or you are taking a position. Either you don't take a position, or you are taking a position. Saying there is no God is not taking a position. You're saying what isn't. You gotta say what is. So if you're an atheist, then you're right. That's right. No naturalism, no evolution, nothing else. But then that means you can't believe in evolution. Well, you don't have to believe in evolution. If you don't have to believe in evolution, what do you believe, though? That's the point. What do you believe? What else is there besides naturalism? Either you believe in the maker of matter, or you believe that matter made itself and does magic. No one can have one-on-one conversation with you. Oh yeah, unless Jay, well, if, unless Jay, unless I can figure out how to use Snipe or something. I mean, Skype, Snipe. I can figure out how to use Skype or something, then you can be live. But I haven't figured it out yet. Jay, you said have fun with this idiot Wildheart with a smiley face. Yeah, okay. I mean, I'll have fun with just about anybody who is willing to have a conversation, but there's that too. Jay just likes to argue. He just likes to say no and deny everything. No, 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 no. Prove this, prove that, prove that, prove the other thing. Okay, the only thing you have to believe to be an atheist is you don't believe God exists. Right, you don't believe any gods exist. That which means you don't believe there are any powers. You don't believe there are any powers. Later, Jay. See you. Have fun. See, when you have to define gods. Gods are forces, they're powers. So when ancient times, when you had a ruler who ruled over a nation, he was a god because he was a force. He was a force to be reckoned with. He was a power. And you'd have one god fighting another god. And, they would fight each other and recuperate. But they were like powers. No, in ancient time, the definition of God is a ruler. A god is a power. A pharaoh is a god. That's the definition of God in ancient times. And that makes sense. That's logical. Because he's a force. He's a power. And the Hebrew God comes along and says, I'm the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He's the creator of everything. All power is All power is of God, the Lord, the God of Israel. That's the difference. Just take my definition. Atheists don't believe in God. Yeah, they don't believe in pharaohs, I guess. Pharaohs don't exist. Yeah, they don't believe that pharaohs have God. That's what I told Jay. If you were put back into ancient times, you would believe in God very quick. You would, because they would say, they would ask you if you believe in their God, and you say, "Oh, I don't believe in Pharaoh," and then you see what will happen to you. I mean, the Pharaoh is a God, and we're all gods, according to what Jesus said. He said, "I said you are all gods. Nevertheless, you'll die like men." So the definition of a God is somebody with power. We have power. We get our power from the sun. We are little gods running around. We determine what happens in our little world. We're little gods. That's the definition of God. Except that we get our power from God. Well, you don't accept that He's a supernatural God, but He is a natural God. He has power. He's a God with power given to Him by God. I mean, it's not that complicated. It's not hard to understand. You just have to understand what they're talking about when they talk about gods, and when they talk about kings and lords, and King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So interesting. So I got my little thing going here. See, I'm a God enabled. I have the forces of the internet and the powers of YouTube to broadcast my little whatever it is, live stream. That's a definition of God. Okay. Pharaohs exist. Yeah. I don't accept he's a God at all. I use a different definition of God. I know you do, but I'm giving you the definition of the word God and gods from ancient times. They believed in their gods, and we don't believe in their gods because we don't understand what they were talking about. Their gods were their rulers and their kings, and one god would displace another god, and because they were fearful, awesome powers, and they died, and somebody else came and took their power. But they had power. Some had more power than others, and that's what in the Bible. That's what the horn means in the Bible. It's a power. One horn came up at the power, at the God, or force. You're giving me a definition. There are many. Oh, it's one definition. Yeah, but if I'm giving you the definition that will enable you to understand about God and gods in the Bible, and even today. Even today, people have power. People have power given to them. People have power taken away from them. But they have power. Where does the power come from? The power comes from God. I mean, this is very straightforward. It's not hard to understand. If you have some nebulous God in Never Never Land, you're not going to understand anything about what it's talking about, or about science, because this is all about science. This is all about knowing what the truth is and what's going on. Yeah, so atheism denies that there are powers, basically. So if you're going by that definition, atheism is denying that there's powers. You're giving, okay, that's fine, but don't say I believe in God when I use a definition. Yeah, you can use the definition you want, but this definition I'm giving is so we can understand science, we can have knowledge, we can know things, know what is. And evolution says there are no powers, there are no gods, there are no powers, and that's not a positive statement. That's not what is, it's what isn't. It's a statement about what isn't. I'm talking about what is. And there are powers, there are pharaohs, there are kings, there are rulers, and they have power. That's what I'm talking about, and that power comes from God. Yeah, atheists don't believe in God, but if you're using the correct definition, then they don't believe in Vladimir Putin. They don't believe in Donald Trump. They don't believe in the power of any ruler or leader. Which is just denial of reality. But they're talking about what is, and I'm talking about what is. The gods that I'm talking about is about gods that are, that do exist. I'm not talking about what doesn't exist, I'm talking about what does exist. Well, God, according to the definition of a God is anyone or anything that has power given to them, and we all have a certain amount of power given to us. And we're supposed to be sharing power in our democracy or whatever it is. State or United States is supposed to be sharing power, so that we can all have a little bit of power. So we can be all little gods and be happy and wonderful, everything's fine. So we can live in our little corner of the world and everything's good. No, you have to establish. That's why when you have a debate, you have to establish what the definition is. I'm talking about what is, and I'm defining words, explaining what is. I'm not talking about what isn't. I'm talking about what is. So there is correct definition. It's what you give the meaning to the word. What the meaning that you give to the word. And that's how we understand things. That's how we understand what is. That's how we know science, is that we give words meaning, and then we go by that meaning and explain what we're talking about, so that other people can understand what we're understanding or trying to say or trying to affirm. And atheism doesn't affirm anything. It's a lack of an affirmation of anything. And it doesn't state anything else. It doesn't have any positive statement, no positive position or assertion or claim, other than that there is no power. There are no powers. There are no gods. And when obviously there are gods, there are powers, and there is a power over all, where all the power comes from. All the power of our solar system comes to us from God. Well, I'm using the definition that is meant when it talks about gods in the Bible. When it talks about a pharaoh being a god, it means pharaoh had power. And if you change that definition, you're not going to understand what's being said, what's being talked about. Anyway, I don't know what's going on, but anyway. So, but this is an interesting discussion, because people confuse the term atheist, and they think, they try to hide behind atheist and then make claims of evolution. I don't see anybody hiding behind atheism and not making claims of evolution. And you have to argue about what is. You can't be making hypothetical arguments about what doesn't exist. It doesn't even exist. You have to talk about what is. Yeah, all power comes from the solar system, and matter is energy, and where does the energy come from? Energy can't be created or destroyed by any physical means. So where did the energy come from, and how did the energy get ordered? In other words, how did the energy get bunched up into the sun? Scientists don't know. They don't know how that happened. They make theories. They make, you would have to get the other person to agree with your definition first. No, I can still talk about what is, whether you're in Never Never Land or not, like Jay's in I don't know what land he's in, but anyway. And yeah, we have to agree about the definition to understand anything. If you don't agree about the definition, you're not going to understand anything. So that's why you can't understand what I'm saying, is because you're not going by the definition of what the word actually means and has actually meant throughout history. So, people are so uneducated. I told that to Jay earlier this morning. People just don't know. If you don't have an education in the Bible, you're not going to understand much of anything at all. You have to first understand what is in the Bible before you can make any kind of statement. Hey, Jay, there's some kind of a thing that doesn't allow you to use bad language here. There's some kind of a algorithm or something. Okay, so yeah, you disagree, and I disagree strongly with you because I'm talking about what is, and you're not having definitions of words that mean anything to understand anything. And atheists still have no positive claim if you're a true atheist. Yeah, Christian Schmistian, you're raised a Christian, so what does that mean? Like I can see you. Well, you can't use bad language because the algorithm will cut out your post. Make me a mod, I'll take care of it. Yeah. No, it's automatic. It's nothing I do. It just doesn't allow to use bad language for some reason. Maybe I put that in there. I don't know. Well, thinks he set up a word sensor. He didn't. I don't know. It's not letting your statements go through when you use bad language. Uh, no, I don't know. It's just it doesn't allow certain things. Jay's trying to get over the algorithm here. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, you have to study the Bible, because if you don't study the Bible, you're not going to understand much of anything. You're not going to, because science is knowing, and knowing what the reality is. That's what the Bible is all about, is knowing the truth, and the truth will set you free. It's knowing that you have a maker, because creation is evident, and only your maker can remake you again. Nobody else can, and which is logical. Can't see it, Jay. Google is hard. This is not Google, that's the thing. This is just, I don't know, some kind of live stream thing for YouTube. Well, what's important is that you have an interest. If you have an interest in math, you're going to learn math. If you have an interest in science, you're going to learn science. If you have an interest in biology, you're going to learn biology. You don't need school to understand what's going on. When I was talking with Steve McRae and them guys, trying to explain to them about the radius being greater than the circumference of a black hole, they were laughing at me, and it turns out that there's papers stating that. Everybody's going to be remade. Because you can't have things and get away with it. I mean, you can't have people doing things and get away with them, so everybody's going to be remade again. Everybody's going to be resurrected. No, it didn't go through, Jay. It didn't go through. You know what you can do to check, Jay, is just to refresh your thing, or use a sock account, and you can see whether it posted or not. No, atheism is a lack of belief in gods. That's all it is. It doesn't make a positive statement. Now, people who are atheists do have a positive position, but that means that it's irrelevant to atheism. That means they're naturalists, not atheists, because they believe in natural causes. The donkey word went through, but because it's a legitimate word. Jay, I'm trying to have a conversation. You're trying to get over the algorithm. So, what do I got? Now I gotta figure out how I can. I can't even delete this thing. I don't even know how to delete it. I have to go on. I gotta go on this one over here. I gotta go here. Wait a minute. I gotta go on this one here. Now I gotta go and remove all the posts that Jay puts up here. See, that's when you don't have your priorities straight. That's what you end up doing when you don't have your priorities straight. And all you want to do is to mess things up. You're never going to learn anything by messing everything up. It's just not going to work. No wonder you don't understand much of anything, Jay. Anyway, now you're gonna make me have to shut down the live stream. Otherwise, I have to keep on deleting everything you say. Otherwise, well, I could like kick you, but that's unproductive. I would like to have a serious conversation. Is what I'd like to have. But this is fun for the time being. I don't know. It depends what you're on. Some of the browsers you have work. Some of the browsers don't work. So it depends. Because there's some browsers that'll not show what you posted when it doesn't go through. But then there's others that'll go ahead and post it, and you will never know that it went through, whether it went through or not. So, does anybody want to discuss the topic at hand, or try to prove that atheism is a belief in a power? Is atheism a belief in a power? No. It's a belief in no powers, which is not very smart. I don't know. If you're on a phone, you're on a different browser. If you're on a different, if you're on Firefox or something, every browser is different. Every browser has their own algorithms or whatever. I was on Jay's hangout or live stream last night. He told me to go away. Which was funny. But anyway. Yeah, atheism is a lack of belief in powers. That's what, if you define gods as powers, then it's a lack of belief in powers. That's what I'm saying. No, atheism is not a non-belief in gods. Yeah, it's a non-belief in gods which have power. I mean, that's what gods are. They are powers. Where did the power come from? Their power came from God. It's not that hard to understand. It's not complicated, as they say. Gods, not powers. Gods don't have powers? Since when do gods not have powers? They do have powers, and where does their power come from? A lack of belief is not the same as a person who say they have a belief. So, do you have a belief or not, Jay? What's your belief? Do you have a basis for your belief? No. You just believe what people say. That's all. You don't even check it out for yourself. Wait a minute. This guy, hold on a second. This guy's still railing on me. Wait a minute. Where am I going here? What's going on here? Not interesting. Spend your time misrepresenting another argument. That's number 8. Well, man, it starts come over and talk to me. What's wrong with this guy here? Come talk to me on the live stream. Put your money where your mouth is. I didn't say that. Put your money where your mouth is. Alright, I'm back, sort of. Oh, we got a bad tempered badger here. Welcome to the live stream. Where am I? Okay, here I am. I gotta go to the page. I gotta go to the page. Here we go. Okay, bad tempered badger. Also, your audio is very quiet. Oh, I don't know which is coming through as. Hold on a second. See what my audio is. Probably because I'm mumbling, like Jay says. Anyway, let me see what's going on here. Sound mixing thing. Speakers. There's a mic. Input. Let me try this one. Does this work any better? Is it working? Hold on a second. Hello? Wait. Is it working? Yeah, it should be working. Anyway. Can't have everything. Alright. I'll just try to speak up and see if that works. You said no one can join. I have to figure out how to use Skype for you to join probably, or something else, telephone or something. If you're doing a live stream on YouTube, let's see. This is not Hangouts. That's the thing. This is YouTube live stream with a live stream app. It's directly through YouTube and an additional live stream app. Because I don't have 1,000 subscribers, I can't do it through YouTube. Possibly a little louder, still a bit quiet. But still, thanks for the feedback, Badger. Warn me if you turn your volume up, my speakers are on full. So why was he asking no one would come talk with him? Why was he asking why no one would come talk to him? I don't get it. That's what they tell me at work all the time, that I say, I don't get it. I don't get it. Speakers. So yeah, atheism doesn't have a position, a positive position, and atheists will take the position of naturalism, which is giving all the glory to mindless matter for its own existence and for your existence, which is not science, and it just doesn't make any sense at all. And those goat herders that you make fun of are the ones that are making sense, because they're talking about an all-knowing, all-powerful, eternal maker of everything there is, which is what the evidence shows. So there. That's what it is in a nutshell. That's how it is. And if I I can figure out how to hook up a microphone, I would, but somehow. Anyway. Is this the mic? Oh, I have to find out where the mic is. Wait a minute. Where's the mic? Oh, I don't have it. Oh. Is that the mic? Or is this the mic? I don't even know what the mic is. Or is this the mic? Is that the mic? Atheist, okay. Religion was made. No, it's not about religion. It has nothing to do. Religion is just a man-made thing of belief, whatever. It's not about religion. It's about truth. It's about evidence. It's about facts. Atheists either don't have a position or they have a position of naturalism. You can't have it both ways. No, you can't have it both ways. Either you don't take a position or you take a position of naturalism, because there is no other position you can take. Okay, what about the night? Second tap was closer. Oh, this one? That's the mic? Science is made. I've heard this guy. Oh, Frank, somebody. Silvek. How are you doing? Welcome to the live stream. If you have any questions about the subject, I'd be happy to entertain your questions. Jay, this is Jay, my friend Jay. He's an atheist. And Wild Heart is always around there somewhere. He seems to hang out quite a bit. That sounds more microphony. Yeah, I don't know if this is the one or not. I think it's the one right now, because I think I got it on the Photiv one. I was watching an old scholar fiction video. Yeah, he was talking about sand or something. If I stepped in sand, well, of course I stepped in sand because I'm from the Amazon. I walk in sand all the time. I don't know what his point was, but anyway. Oh, but scholar fiction's okay too, but he speaks a little bit of Portuguese. I was worried he got famous for some reason. Who got famous? Who got famous? Oh. Well, insist on telling you what you believe when you don't believe it. Well, you have to believe something, or you can't believe anything at all, and you can't tell me anything. So, the only thing you can believe is in naturalism, which is mindless matter. And mindless matter can't do anything of its own. It's forced to be what it is, and it's forced to do what it does. That's not how science is done. It's about it. Let me see if I can. Hold on a second. I got to message this guy here. It's not how science does. It's about who can pretend they know most or sound the smartest. Well, come to the live stream. Come out to my live stream. Alright, well anyway. He keeps on insisting on sending me responses. I'll have to answer him later. If he doesn't come over. I'm an uneducated believer. What do you believe, Frank? On what evidence do you base your belief? that a God is responsible for the universe. A little bit more humble. Uneducated. Who's uneducated? No, undecided. No. Flowers or horns, that come up and displace other people, other gods, and all that stuff. It's just you have to have a basic education before you can understand anything at all. Can you explain, please, Frank? I would have thought you couldn't be a believer if you were undecided. Well, give him time, I guess. Maybe he'll form an opinion. At least it's better than atheism that doesn't have an opinion or a positive statement. Atheism is that there are no statements, basically, if you take it literally. I don't believe in religions. I believe in truth. I believe in facts. I believe in what can be demonstrated to exist. It isn't necessary to have any kind of belief on what caused the universe to exist within it and function. Oh, to exist within it and function. Yeah, you can exist in function, but you're never going to understand where everything came from if you're unwilling to look at the evidence. If you're not afraid of what the evidence shows you, then you'll see that energy doesn't make itself, and energy can't order itself, and neither can biological living organisms order themselves, because they have vast amounts of programming that make it possible for living organisms to exist, and mindless matter doesn't write any programming whatsoever. So there you have it. Matter can only be what it's forced to be, and matter can only do what it's directed to do, or made to do. Which is not complicated. If I can understand it, it's not complicated. And you guys should know that. I don't want to just believe something because I'm scared of it. No, you don't believe it because you believe it because you're not scared of it. Not because I want to live forever. No, you don't want to be ashamed. You don't want to be a disgrace. You don't want to be a dummy. You want to understand the way things are. That's a good way to start, Frank. Yeah, I like his approach. His approach is good. Just checking things out. That's what we're all supposed to be like that. Not like Jay Pasick. That video scholar had with Jorgen is interesting. I think it was back, it was a while back. It's not necessary to understand in order to live happy. Religion is also a poor basis for knowledge on any. Well, you're making assertions, and and it's not about religion anyway. It's not evidence-based. Well, it has to be evidence. What you believe has to be evidence-based, and creation is evidence-based. It's evident, and we see intent all over the place. We see purpose all over the place. And intent and purpose do not come from the rocks or mindless matter. This guy has a lot of good videos if you go through his library. Well, so. I mean, creationists have a positive position. Atheists are afraid to say that they're naturalists, that they're giving all the glory to mindless matter. You're ashamed of your own position. Jargon sounds like he wants to make claims and doesn't back them up. No, I'm making observations. Making observations, back them up when pressed. No, I don't have to be pressed to back up my position. Can you demonstrate that creation is evidence-based? Yes, it is evidence-based, because everything is. Everything is energy. Everything is forced to be what it is and forced to do what it does, or made to do what it does by a pre-existing program if it's biology. Obviously, it goes against the idea that God is likely. No, if you do infinite regress, everything goes back to a more powerful, more knowledgeable maker of everything, which leads to an all-powerful, all-knowing maker of everything there is. You can't have less and less information. It's not, the universe is not based on less and less power. It's based on more and more power. It's not based on less and less information. It's based on more and more information. So the evidence is clearly of God. And if you're appealing to infinite possibilities, which scientists do, they appeal to infinite possibilities, you're appealing to God, because God is infinite. I'm not using the, what verse did I quote? I didn't use the Bible. I mean, I'm repeating what the Bible says, but I'm not using that as evidence. I'm using nature as evidence, because you don't understand that the Bible is truth. You don't accept that the Bible is true, so I have to show you through nature that the Bible is true. What leads you to believe that power information was put in place by God? Because you always have to have more and more power, you always have to have more and more information, and that leads to infinite power and infinite information, which is the definition of God. That's that. I mean, no reason to get frustrated or aggravated. That's just what it is. I said I was undecided. I didn't say the Bible is true. Yeah, but the Bible is true, because that's what the evidence shows. I don't accept your interpretation of nature either. Okay, well, what's your interpretation of nature? Where did it get its power from? How did it get ordered? How did biology get programmed? What's your explanation? It's not complicated. It's real simple, especially if I can understand it. Why do you always need to have more and more power and more information? Because you can't have less and less power and less information to get where we're at. Because less information is not going to arrive at more information. And less power is not going to arrive at more power. Information and power has to be top down. It can't be bottom up. I never said the Bible was not true. Well, mindless laws working on inanimate objects. What? No, it's just forces. All it is forces. But where did the force come from? Jake called me, said I had rabies and I was retarded. Kill me. Well, I don't have rabies. I never said I had rabies. And if I'm retarded, what's your excuse? Mindless laws working on inanimate objects. I meant forces instead of laws. Yeah. Well, how do you know that they're mind? How do you know the forces are without intent? They're mindless, of course, because they don't have a mind, but how do you know the forces were not directed without intent? Can people see my comments? I can see that, yeah. But your other one got blocked. Somehow you called me retarded. I guess it blocked it. Jay, something else. Yeah, so the forces are what they are, what they're, are what makes all the elements, all the molecules are forces, and they're ordered forces or ordered energy. And the question is, how did energy get ordered when it always goes from order to disorder and never orders itself? So that right there proves a God. The second law of thermodynamics and the first law prove the existence of God. Can you convince me that a God is true? Well, that's what I'm attempting to do. Absolutely. Because truth is absolute. And the evidence absolutely shows that energy can't make itself, energy can't order itself, and so it has to come from an all-knowing, all-powerful God. Because it can't come from no force and no power, it has to come from power. I'm bending over trying to talk into the microphone, but I don't know where the microphone is. Anyway. No, everybody has to be honest and make up their own mind, and you can't see the truth unless you have the Spirit of God to teach you and show you. And if you're not listening to the Spirit of God, you're not going to know anyway. So there's that too. What do you mean by truth, and can you demonstrate its absolute? Yeah, there's absolute truth. Is that you have a maker, and only your maker can remake you again. That's the absolute truth. He sees something and says something, he's evidence of something else. There's something, he sees something and says that something is evidence of something else. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. You got a lot louder on the word is then. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, how's this? Is this better? We're blasting people's earphones. Okay, so maybe this is better. I don't know. He sees something and says something. Yeah, if you see something, say something. If you see the evidence, say something. I see a building. That building is evidence for trees. Well, if it's made of trees, yeah, but it's also evidence of a builder, which is another thing. When you said where the microphone is this where the microphone is? Yeah, okay, a bit better. Okay. Well, I don't want to eat the microphone. My speakers are in pieces. Can this guy read? Yeah, pretty much. But I'm thinking while I'm reading, so if I'm not reading coherently, it's because I'm thinking about something else. So, does anybody have any evidence for your positive position of naturalism and nature making you? Eat the mic, okay. I don't know why.
people are enjoying themselves, it looks like. Having fun. Having fun trying to make fun of me, trying to say something, a positive statement against me. No, you're not made by your parents. You're made by a pre-existing written set of instructions, which is programmed inside of you. That's what makes you. And your parents didn't write those instructions to make you. All they did was recombine the instructions, and the instructions were compatible with each other, and they made you. But yeah, I mean, this is not that complicated. I don't see why people have a problem with it. Can you demonstrate the thing writing those instructions? Well, we can see it copying itself. What we can't see is the instructions writing themselves, or anything in nature writing the instructions. No, they didn't. No amount of time is enough, because everything falls apart much greater, much faster rate than they supposedly write programming. So the programming is going to fall apart before it ever writes itself. So no amount of time is ever good enough. Can you demonstrate anything right now? Yeah, I mean, we see it copying itself all the time. What we don't see is it writing itself. Just because you can see something, why are you saying it's something else that you also cannot see? No, because we can see, we can know that we have a history of mankind, a human history that has to go back to the time when humans were made. And we actually have history of when humans were made. We actually have the names of all the people going all the way back to when people were made. And we know they can't make themselves. We know that nothing in nature can write programming, that it has to be significantly sequenced by intent and purpose and intelligence. And of course, if God was imperfect, He wouldn't exist. He would self-destruct, and then we wouldn't exist. So our existence is proof both that God exists and that there's a perfect covering for us. But that's kind of deep stuff. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. I need a nap after listening. Okay, thanks. No problem, Wildheart. Well, I'll see you around, since you seem to be hanging around. I mean, in the various chats. Yeah, it has to be a perfect and complete covering for us, because we're corrupt, and we corrupt ourselves, and we destroy ourselves. And if God was corrupt and imperfect, He would destroy Himself. So there has to be a perfect covering for us that covers for our destructive behaviors because of our imagination. And if not, we wouldn't exist, and God wouldn't exist. It's really not complicated. I mean, all you got to do is this basic math, basic logic, It's really not complicated. Not as complicated as, well, just because it was never taught to you in school, it was never taught to you in public school, or even by your pastor or in church or anything. It doesn't mean that it's not complicated or easy to understand. All right, Badger. Toodle-doo. Toodle-dee. Twiddly-dee. No, but if this maker wrote the instruction that made us, doesn't it follow the Maker wrote the instructions that allow you to corrupt yourself. No, our Maker told us not to corrupt ourselves, not to do what's bad, or not to imagine things, not to believe lies. And we believe lies anyway. The Maker wrote the instructions that allow you to corrupt yourself. If this Maker wrote the instructions that made it, yeah, he wrote the instructions, but he didn't tell you a lie. He didn't tell us a lie. He told us the truth. He told us what to do, and we didn't believe the truth, and we disobeyed, and we messed everything up. But would that not be a part of the written instructions? No, it's our imagination, because we have a free choice to do what we want to do, or to believe what we want to believe, imagine what we want to imagine, and that imagination of ours is not the truth, and so it corrupts us. So we have to believe the truth, and we have minds of flesh which make mistakes, and we believe things that aren't true because, of course, we don't know everything. We can't think we know everything, and we have to do or obey what God tells us is true, or we have to do conform to what's true. No, the Maker wrote the program that made us. He didn't write anything which cause us to believe a lie or to imagine something that's not true. We imagined what was not true because that was our choice, because we have a choice. And that's what's so great about humans, is that we have our own choice. The Maker wrote the program, the original program, before we messed it up, to make humans. He wrote the program to make humans and all the animals, and we messed that all up. So now it's all corrupt. Yeah, he's, in a sense, yeah, he is the one that wrote our DNA, yeah. Original DNA before it became corrupt. Became corrupt because we ate the fruit that we're told not to eat. We believed a lie. We went ahead and ate the fruit anyway because we thought it was a good thing, and it turns out it wasn't such a good thing. So now we are being proved whether or not we can do what's right this time around. Okay, the fruit was a fruit we're told not to eat. The fruit was probably your own imagination. But whatever it was what corrupted everything. So, like a sweater, if you pull on the wrong string in the wrong way, it's going to unravel the whole thing. That's basically what the fruit did. Well, he gave us the ability to pull the string on the sweater or not pull the string on the sweater, and we pulled the string on the sweater and unraveled everything. You know, it's the knowledge of good and evil, and we chose the knowledge of good and evil. Well, it's a physical fabrication. What do you want? And I mean, it was good before the string was pulled and unraveled everything. It was a good fabrication until it was messed with. Yeah, there was the tree of life in the Garden of Eden. There's the tree of the knowledge of the good and evil. And we chose the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We pulled the string and unraveled the whole sweater. Messed everything up. No, it was if you read the Bible, if you read Genesis, God said it was good. He made it and it was good. Not perfect. He said it was good. It was a good fabrication until we pulled the string and unraveled it. Sounds like you're saying this maker who is perfect wrote a bad program. No, it's still a fabrication, regardless. And he made it so that we could choose good and evil, good or evil. He made it possible for us to have choice, freedom of choice. And, we still have freedom of choice today. Either we can push the red button or we can not push the red button. We always have that choice. And it's on us. What we choose to do is on us. It's not on God. It's all a fabrication. It can all be rebuilt and restored, but it's still a fabrication, and it's neither good nor bad, but it shows what our intent is. It shows what the intent that we have, what we intend to do. And God is proving the intent that we have, whether it's good or bad. Why would this maker do that? Well, why would you want to do what was bad? Why would you want to push the red button or pull the string to unravel the sweater? Because it seems, in one sense you are saying that we messed it up, but the maker makes it so that things can be done in the first place. Yeah, true. That's true. And but the maker can remake it again. We can't. See, the maker has a provision for it. We don't. I mean, we do, but it's his provision that he makes for us, because we can't restore everything he can. And it's only a fabrication. Isn't doing bad written by a program? Well, no, but it's neither good or bad. I mean, it's not evil. It's just a fabrication. It's not evil, and it's not perfect in the sense of virtue. It's just a physical fabrication. And God looks at our virtue, our intent, by what we do. Whether we pull the string, whether we push the red button, whether we eat the fruit. So I can kill a person is simply destroying the fabric. Yeah, exactly. All it is destroying the fabrication, and God looks at the intent, your intent. And He'll judge you for your intent, what you intend to do. He'll judge you for your actions, what you choose to do in the physical fabrication. That's what it's all about. Everybody's going to be judged for what they do. He made that possible. So there's nothing you can pull over on God. So as long as I kill the person with no bad intent, it's okay. Well, your intentions can be good, because if that person is going to kill 10 other people, then you just saved 9 lives, or 10 other lives. It depends what your intent is, And in the case of tribal warfare, the intent was to destroy God, the testimony of God on earth, and the theocracy of God, which was God's nation. You have no intent other than to destroy a simple fabrication. But it's not just a simple fabrication. That fabrication has potential to do a lot of good for a lot of people, even if it's a bad person. God can change his heart, and he can turn around and do good. And we're supposed to let people live anyways, because it's all going to be done and over with soon anyways. It won't be long. And God has chosen to let people live and give people a good life. Yeah, every physical thing is a fabrication. What we choose to do is not. What we choose to do is spiritual. God can remake them, and they are simply fabricated. Exactly. But it's not your choice to make. It's God's choice to make. He made them. He can restore them. You can't. You didn't make them, and you can't restore them. And God has told us to forgive everyone, or we won't be forgiven. If you don't forgive somebody else, you're not going to be forgiven. It's logical. Why should you be forgiven when you didn't forgive somebody else? Or why should you live when you didn't let somebody else live? Or why should you have a chance when you didn't give somebody else a chance? Right, but you don't seem to be listening. You didn't make him, so it's not your fabrication. You don't have a right to destroy him. And you can't remake them again if you do destroy them. It's not yours to destroy. Right, anybody can kill you because of your fabrication, true, but they will be judged for what they do. Everyone will be judged for what they do, because they don't have a right to destroy you either. They didn't make you, and they can't remake you, and they don't have a right to destroy you. It's a fabrication, but it's not your fabrication. It's easy to destroy. It's not easy to make. And if you just go around destroying, you're destroying stuff that's not yours to destroy, and you can't remake it. Well, God has already said not to kill people, especially when they're not doing anything to harm anybody. So it's not okay, because it's not your fabrication, and you can't refabricate the person that you destroyed. You're being a little bit hard-headed. You're not following the logic very well. It's not your fabrication. It's not your world that you made. You don't have a right to destroy what somebody else made. In a theocracy, yes, God can tell somebody to kill somebody, but He won't do it without a good reason. If you're in are you in a theocracy? You're not in a theocracy right now. You're in a democracy, or whatever it is. But you're breaking the law of the land, and you're supposed to obey the law of the land. If you're in a theocracy, that's another thing, and God wouldn't tell you to kill somebody that's innocent. God doesn't kill innocent people like that. Not that anybody's innocent, but well, in a theocracy, you have to be perfect. You can't sin, because the requirement is perfection in a theocracy. And if you do something really bad, the penalty is death. I should agree with what God tells me. Yeah, and God said it's good that people are sent the Messiah, and God sent the Messiah to teach us everything, and we have to learn everything that the Messiah taught us. So, do you agree with perfection then? Do you agree with being absolutely perfect? God is not about punishing innocent people. He's about punishing the wicked. And if you can do better, then you have to do better, not worse. Why should I agree with the laws of man? If God tells me to kill you, doesn't that counter the laws of man? No, you have to have a good reason. No, the question, God is not about killing people. God's commandment is that we live forever. That's what God's commandment is. God's commandment is for us to live forever. It's not about killing people. It's about eternal life. No, God's command is eternal life. God's command is to live. For everybody to live. And if you kill somebody, you're not allowing them to live. You're not allowing them to follow God's commandment. And it's not yours to choose. Because His commandment is to live already. He programmed us to live, and He commands us to live. The Amalekites were attacking God's nation. They were attacking God. They were attacking God's provision for us, which is through Messiah. If the Amalekites succeeded, then we wouldn't have Messiah. We wouldn't have a provision to cover for us. No, but it's not. I already told you that's not what God's commandment is. God's commandment is for us to live, and they were about destroying your provision for you, the only provision you have. They wanted to destroy God, the witness of God. They were attacking God. They wanted to destroy God out of this world, remove God from this world. They wanted basically the same thing as killing Messiah. They wanted to kill Messiah, which is your only provision that you have. There is no other perfect provision for you. It's only through God's provision, which is through Messiah, which is Adam dying for Adam, taking our place, so that we can be completely covered. Yeah, because they were attacking Israel. Israel is God's nation. Israel is the nation of God that God made. So they were attacking God. Well, because it's a theocracy. It's God's action on them. We don't live in this theocracy, and we don't necessarily receive orders from God to go around killing people, because God wants everybody to live, and He wants us to abide by the laws in the nation where we're at. Because the laws are for the lawbreakers, and killing people is breaking the law. God destroyed everybody in the world. He sent a flood that destroyed everybody. Everybody in the world was destroyed. God made people. He can destroy people because He can remake them again. Well, Son of Sam said that the dog ordered him to kill people too. So if that's not what God does, then because you're not a theocracy, and you don't have a record of God speaking to you or doing wonderful things, and so you probably aren't hearing from God. No, you're just talking nonsense. Of course Noah and his family were killed. Everybody else was killed. I mean, of course Noah and his family survived the flood. Everybody else was killed. Well, it's the same thing. If it's not truly God telling you, you might as well be listening to a dog, which is not telling you either. It's your own imagination telling you to kill somebody. Yeah, the whole world except the people that were in the ark. I mean, that's what the story, everybody knows the story, should know it. That's what the record is, the account of 8 people surviving in the ark. You know, and they were all killed eventually anyways, but that's another thing. Or they all died anyway. Eventually. How does one make the determination that it's God and not imagination? Oh, you know if it's God or not. You won't know if it's imagination. You won't know what you're doing if it's imagination. But you have to learn, first you have to learn about God before you can say you hear from God. You have to know about God. You have to have a personal relationship with God. All the prophets talk to God. Yeah, right. All the prophets talk to God. All the prophets had a relationship with God. And you don't seem to know the will of God because you're already talking about killing people. And that's not God's will. It's not God's will that anybody should perish. That all should come to repentance. Yeah, it's a hypothetical question, all right. It's just not very relevant or valid. I mean, we live in the United States. You live in the United States or some other country, and you have to abide by the laws of the country. Because the powers that be are powers that God ordained and set up. No, there is no theocracy today. The powers that be are powers that God ordained, that we're supposed to keep the laws, because the laws are for lawbreakers, for people that want to go around killing people. We're still supposed to obey the laws of the land that we live in. It's not our responsibility to go around taking other people's lives. We don't have that authority to do that. It's not an authority that's given to us. So if you do that, you're going to pay for that, because you don't have the authority to kill somebody or take somebody's life. No, God ordained the powers that be, and if you don't abide by the powers that be, you're going to pay for it, because you're going to have to answer to them, because they have the authority, not you. Well, you don't have the authority. You don't have the authority. Where's your authority to kill somebody? God has given you a command. I mean, but where is the authority for you to kill somebody? I mean, where is your theocracy? Yeah, God is your authority. Where's your theocracy? That's a claim. It's a claim that God is telling you to do it, but you don't have a theocracy. Okay, so if you think that He is your authority and you take it upon yourself to kill me, then you have to face the authority of the country where you live, and we'll see who has the authority. Okay? It has to do with who has the authority. If you think you have authority, if you think God is telling you to kill somebody, you have to face the authorities that God really put in place. Well, if God protects you, that's another thing. We'll see if that happens. And we'll see who has authority, if you have authority or not. But as it is, you don't have authority. Because you live in a country where you're not allowed to do that. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's telling you to do what. You don't have the authority. And if you do have authority, then you'll have to face the authorities and see who has the authority. If you think you have the authority, if you think God was telling you to do something, then you have to face the authorities. That's all. It's not complicated. If it's true that you were given authority, then you shouldn't have to worry about your authorities. Okay, if you think it doesn't matter, then you'll have to face your authorities. Because if you did have authority, you could do it, and then the authorities could do nothing about it, because you would have more authority than them, and that would be that. You're not understanding. You're not understanding. If you think that you have authority to do something, and you can't protect yourself from the authorities that do have the authority, then you don't have the authority. You don't seem to understand, or you don't want to understand. But it's been great talking to you anyway. No, God is not your authority, because you don't have authority. You don't have the authority. And if you do have the authority, that would be a novel thing. That one person would have authority to kill somebody else. That would be a novel thing. It's just like organized crime think they have authority until they get caught, and then they don't have the authority. Well, God has already said that we're supposed to obey our authorities. He's already said that. You don't seem to understand that God has put authorities over you. No, God has told you to obey your authorities. The authority told you to obey your authorities that God has put over you. God has taken away the theocracy. He doesn't have a theocracy anymore. God is the authority, and He has given power to the authorities over you. It's not complicated. You're not trusting in His authority if you defy the authority that God put over you. He put the authorities over you, and you have to obey those authorities that God put over you. If you think you have more authority, that's another thing. You have to see if that pans out. which I wouldn't suggest. No, all power is of God. Read that in the Bible. All power is of God. All authority is from God. God puts people in authority. Well, Obama is going to have to pay for whatever he did wrong, you know. You don't have to trust in him. You're supposed to obey the authority, and Obama's supposed to obey the authority too, because he doesn't have authority to do things he's not supposed to do. And that's all unraveling right now as we speak. But anyway, I've been going on long enough, I guess. I think I'll go ahead maybe and end this. Why is this thing so far off? Anyway, I'll just go ahead and wrap this up maybe if I can, if I know how. And see what happens here. What, I got some more people or what? Anyway, I can't go on forever. I gotta cut this off. Yeah, I'm a Christian because I obey what God says in the Bible, that I'm supposed to obey the authorities over me. If you think man can go over God, that is wrong. No, God put the authorities over you. If you think you have more authorities than your authority, you know, that's on you. No, you are not what? Oh, well, I'm following what the Bible says. It says to obey those put in authority over you. I do what God tells me to do all the time. No, God tells you to obey those in authority over you. I'm just going around circles, or you're just going around circles, and you can't win because you're supposed to obey the authorities that God puts over you. No, God isn't hypothetically telling me directly to do something contrary to the authorities, because I don't have the authority. I'm honest, I don't have the authority to do something other than what the authorities allow. It's not different, because I still have to obey the authorities. If not, I have to face the authorities. And if it was so important, then I would face the authorities. But there's nothing the authorities are demanding of me right now that I would have to defy the authorities. No, you don't seem to want to understand, because there is nobody's forcing me to do anything contrary to what God is telling me to do right now. God is not telling me to do anything other than what is allowed by the authorities. So then you have to face the authorities. If you think you have the authority by God to do something contrary to what the authorities say you can do, then you have to face the authorities. That's all there is to it. you think it's a good thing, you have to face the authorities. If I think it's a good thing, I have to face the authorities. But there's nothing right now that is contrary to any law that I'm doing. You have to face the authorities because they were put over you, and they tell you what you can and can't do, and you are doing what they say you can't do. Yeah, right. Where is God going to protect you if you disobey the authorities put over you? He will protect you if what you're doing is right, but if what you're doing is wrong, you have to suffer for it. That says that in the Bible too. You have to suffer for it. If you do wrong, you got to suffer for it. I don't know why you want to be able to kill somebody. I don't understand what the deal is. The only way it would be right to kill somebody is if you're stopping that person from killing 10 other people. That's the only way it would be right. And if you could prove it. First of all, you don't believe in God, obviously, because you're saying that God will tell you to do something contrary to authority, like taking someone's life, not giving somebody a chance, when you didn't make the person, so why would you want to take their life? You're not in a theocracy. You don't have the authority to take someone's life. You're going to obey a lie, is what you're going to obey. You're going to obey an imagination. You're going to obey the devil. It's like David Berkowitz who was listening to his dog, to a neighbor's dog, or whatever it was. It's no different. You don't have the authority. You can't win the argument because you don't have the authority. Because God didn't give you the authority. And if you do have the authority, why are you arguing with me? You're not going to win the argument. Yeah, you do have the authority. If God gives you the authority, you have authority, but you don't have the authority. God didn't give you the authority to do anything. You have to have the authority given to you to do something. I mean, you're a little bit dense there. Oh, now you do have the authority. You did not say you had the authority, but now you do have the authority. Okay, right. You just contradicted yourself. Well, I gotta go. I can't be going back and forth like this. This is just crazy.